of people have an opinion on this. I can't wait to hear. So actress Jenna Ortega from the hit Netflix show Wednesday is being called out for bashing the show's writers. Speaking to Dax Shepard on his podcast, Jenna, who is 20, said that she often had to put her foot down on scripts because she did not agree with certain storylines like the love triangle between Wednesday and two other characters. Listen.
There was times on that set where I even became almost unprofessional in a sense where I just started changing lines. The script supervisor thought that like I was going with something, and then I would have to sit down with the writers and they would be like, wait, what happened to the scene? And I would have to go through and explain why I couldn't do certain things. I grew very, very protective of her, but you can't lead a story and have no emotional arc.
Ugh. Oh, Tori just made a groan. But a big-time Hollywood TV producer is now slamming Jenna for her airing out her grievances with the writers so publicly. So in his tweet, he says this kind of statement is beyond entitled and toxic. I love her work, but life's too short to deal with people like this in the business. Interesting. Tori, you're the one that had this audible emotion. What's happening?
Okay, so first off, she's 20. I get it. She's young, and she's on a podcast talking about her experience. I'm also really nice to see she's taking ownership of her own character, which she should, which it makes a lot of sense. To publicly say, I had to put my foot down, I became unprofessional, I had to sit the writers down is condescending, pretentious, rude, and also emboldened to think that you can then say it on a podcast. I heard another podcast where she talked about the hours on Wednesday and how many hours she worked, and she said she also had to put her foot down on the amount of hours because it was too much for her. What, there's no SAG union on a Wednesday shoot? Like, people aren't producing that have done it for years that are taking care. This 20-year-old is really in charge of everything that much. I know I'm getting annoyed because it's people behind the scenes that get thrown under the bus publicly like this. Cool, do this privately. Do not share this on an armchair, whatever podcast that a lot of writers and producers listen to.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's so much behind the scenes. When we talk about people at DBL like Michael Dean, they're on a call at 5 a.m. going through stories. There's a reason. I talked to Chris, our executive producer, and he'll say, we did this story because I feel like Erica would have a lot to say about this. And that'll lead us to the next story where Jeff will come in and Tori will have a comeback to whatever Jeff says. There's a reason all this is laid out. So imagine a 20-year-old now coming in here and saying, let me talk to Chris. You know, let me talk to the sound guy, Steve, who's worked as a sound engineer. Imagine the temerity of that, and I think that's where that noise that you made comes from. Is just like there are adults in here that have been doing this when I was a middle school teacher, when I was born. So it's just so disrespectful. That's what I take from it. Hopefully she's young and she'll learn. But 2 podcasts.
She'll learn, and also she's a part of a different generation than any of us. She is 20. This is a podcast generation. That's why people go on to have a conversation and forget that, like you say all the time, Al, these cameras go somewhere. And sometimes we say things, we get loose, and we say things off the cuff, and it sometimes just isn't really even that deep. Now, the consequences could be deep. Obviously, she's getting a lot of backlash for this, but she's 20, and this is one of those things that she's gonna look back and likely be like, oop, shouldn't have done that, won't do that again, and this is the reason why. But until any of us in this room have had those types of moments, which we all have, where someone had to check us and be like, that's not the way that you articulate your feelings, and that is not the venue. You need to be a little bit more careful next time you're going to hang out on a podcast, which as podcasters, that's what we do, get you to forget that there's a taping going on, so you're more relaxed and being authentic. So I'm not trying to like dismantle this 20-year-old woman for making a mistake that likely we all have had some version of.
We've talked about this, that we've all started to gain our success much later in life. Like right now, right? We're all in our 40s. So I look back at 20-year-old Sam, and I was climbing that ladder for years and years. All of us were.
Is that how you were climbing it?
like a panda bear.
Tiniest ladder?
I had my elbows out, honey.
There you go.
Move.
All right.
Move. Okay. Cool moves. My point is, like, I feel like we're all humbled because we were never given. I mean, Tim Burton is behind Wednesday. One of the most iconic gothic, you know, because she's supposedly really into like gothic film noir, all that. That's how she did the Wednesday dances. She researched it herself because she's a fan of goth. She's with like the pinnacle of all of that. She's so lucky, and I'm so disappointed because I love her. I want to be her, and now I'm like, I hope this is a learning lesson, and I hope it humbles her. Jeff.
Yeah, you know, real quickly, I hope it does too. She's 20 years old, and I learned all of my best moments in life from mistakes, right? And I think this is a mistake on her end. She's young and she doesn't have the appreciation. Mine came after, you know, I had my 15 minutes of fame on Big Brother, and you come out of the house and you were winning as nobody, and then everybody knows you, so you kind of, you know, get a little puffy, big head, you know, to be quite frank with you. And when I started working for CBS, it was that how many people it takes to do the Big Brother show. And when I worked for CBS.com, how many people it took to put on that little show that I did. And when I come here, how many people here it takes to put on a show. It's not the 5 of us. It's a team, and we're all in it together. And I really have a great appreciation for that and everyone who works here. And she doesn't have that yet. And hopefully from this lesson, she'll learn that.
Amen. Yeah. We love every single one of you here. Let me tell you, we're just the tip of the iceberg. They're the base. Okay. The Last of Us star Pedro Pascal is having his moment in the sun. Stop it, Al. But in reality, Pedro has been appearing on our TV screens for years. He's been in everything from Law & Order, NYPD Blue. Remember him in Touched by an Angel?
No.
Okay. He even appeared on an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in 1999. He got his first big role in Game of Thrones. His character met a grisly death at the hands of the Mountain. But it's his fatherly roles in The Mandalorian and The Last of Us that has earned him the nickname, the ultimate internet daddy. He talked about all the attention on the Graham Norton Show. Watch.
What's internet daddy?
Me?
Yeah, you are.
Internet daddy.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
No, people
I
are
feel
obsessed
like
by
it
you
changes.
being...
There's zaddy, there's daddy. I'll take it all.
Kind of, I guess.
What is up with Sadie?
A zaddy.
That's the thing, is
Or
that
a
I am a saddy, actually.
Ooh, everybody loves Pedro. I think I called him Pedro earlier. Pedro.
Pedro.
Yes.
I'm watching Last of Us, and I'll just say this man has worked very hard and like climbed the ladder, as Sam said, this way. But there is something entirely, like I am just taken.
You know what Jeff said? He looks like a movie star.
He is. And he seems like a real, like a Burt Reynolds-y kind of guy. Like I showed Brooks his haircut, and when he went, and I said, maybe get somebody a little more Pascal.
Yeah, but I think he's got an
Pascal.
appreciation for the business. He's been in it a long time. Now he's like on everybody's radar. And it's so weird you said that, Al, because when I saw him at the Oscars on Sunday, I'm like, that guy's a movie star.
He looked
And it's been 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He was wearing that white Xenia suit that went up with no tie. Ooh.
I mean, before I even knew we were doing the story, it's so weird. I was talking with my girl, and like we watched 3 shows last night, and he was in all of them.
Right.
Because we're rewatching Narcos as well, and he is huge. I mean, he's second or third main character in that, and it's just like when you look at this body of work, I think maybe that's how your career will be remembered. Like he's just kind of got this incredible TV career that's now spilled over into Netflix and to film. We should all be so lucky. But it's cool to see somebody make it, you know, later.
Daddy.
Yes,
Zaddy?
Tori.